All three Star Trek movies directed by Leonard Nimoy or William Shatner ranked worst to best. Few franchises have trusted their leading actors the way Star Trek did in the 1980s. Instead of hiring only outside filmmakers, Paramount handed the director's chair to two of the saga's most iconic captains, Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner. The result? Three wildly different films that reveal as much about the personalities behind the camera as the characters on screen. One became a comedy classic, one delivered emotional closure, and one boldly went somewhere fans still debate decades later. Here's every Star Trek movie directed by Nimoy or Shatner, ranked from worst to best. 3 Star Trek V. The Final Frontier, 1989. William Shatner finally got his turn in the captain's chair, both fictional and literal, with The Final Frontier. Unfortunately, ambition far exceeded execution. On paper, this movie sounds fascinating. Spock's long-lost half-brother Sivak hijacks the Enterprise in search of God at the center of the galaxy. That premise alone screams philosophical Star Trek. Questions about faith, pain, belief, and emotional vulnerability should have made this one of the franchise's deepest entries. Instead, it became its strangest misfire. Shatner deserves credit for aiming high. The film leans heavily into character relationships, especially the legendary Kirk-Spock-McCoy trio. The Yosemite campfire scenes remain genuinely wonderful, capturing the warmth and humor that made the original crew beloved. Few Star Trek moments feel more human than Kirk admitting, "I need my pain." But everything surrounding those moments struggles. Budget limitations crippled the visual effects. Action sequences feel awkwardly staged, and tonal shifts bounce between slapstick comedy and cosmic theology without ever settling comfortably. The infamous climax, revealing a false god demanding a starship, is thematically interesting but visually underwhelming. What should feel transcendent instead feels rushed and oddly small. Yet The Final Frontier isn't entirely without charm. It's deeply personal, almost like Shatner trying to explain what Captain Kirk believes about existence itself. That sincerity keeps the film watchable even when it falters. Still, compared to Nimoy's tighter storytelling instincts, this entry lands firmly at the bottom of the ranking. 2 Star Trek 3. The Search for Spock, 1984. Leonard Nimoy's directing debut could have easily felt like contractual obligation. After all, the previous film ended with Spock's death. Audiences demanded resolution. Instead, Nimoy delivered something surprisingly bold, a quieter, emotional sequel about loyalty and sacrifice. The Search for Spock doesn't try to outdo its predecessor with spectacle. Instead, it asks a simple question: how far will friends go for one another? The answer turns out to be very far. Admiral Kirk stealing the Enterprise, defying Starfleet orders, and risking his entire career gives the movie real dramatic weight. This isn't exploration. It's rebellion fueled by grief. Nimoy wisely centers the story on consequences rather than action. And then comes one of the franchise's most shocking moments: the destruction of the Enterprise itself. Watching Kirk order the self-destruct sequence feels almost sacrilegious. Nimoy stages the scene with restraint, letting silence and reaction shots carry the emotional devastation. It transforms the ship from a set into something mythic, a fallen hero alongside Spock. Christopher Lloyd's Klingon commander Kruge adds genuine menace, grounding the film with physical danger while the emotional story unfolds elsewhere. If there's a weakness, it's pacing. The Genesis planet subplot occasionally feels uneven, and Spock's rapid regeneration stretches credibility even by Star Trek standards. Still, Nimoy proves himself an intuitive director here. He understands that Star Trek works best when science fiction supports character rather than replaces it. This film rebuilt the franchise's emotional core, setting the stage for something even greater. 1.